I have the time as being 7:30, so I will call to order the public hearing and regular business meeting, the mayor, or mayor pro tem, and council of the city of Snellville, Georgia. We have all members in attendance with the exception of the mayor, who is on vacation this week, so you have to put up with me. We will begin tonight with an invocation from our good friend Bobby Howard, former Councilman Howard, who went all the way to the back of the room to sit down.
Mayor and council, citizens, hope everybody's having a good night. If you will join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening with hearts full of gratitude for the opportunity to gather here in service to the city of Snellville. As guests in this space, we recognize the responsibility that rests on each leader present. We ask that you bless this council with the wisdom to make decisions that will uplift and strengthen our community. May this meeting be guided by your spirit of collaboration, respect, and mutual understanding. Help each member to listen carefully, to speak with kindness, and to act with integrity. Grant them the insight to discern the best paths forward, ensuring that the needs of all residents are met with fairness and compassion. We pray that you watch over our city, its leaders, its citizens, our law enforcement. May Snellville continue to be a place where unity, peace, and prosperity flourish. We place this meeting in your hands, trusting in your wisdom to lead us. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Howard. And now we will have the pledge to the flag, and we will be led by our own Norman Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Tonight we have no ceremonial matters, so the next thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 specially called meeting and the July 22nd, 2024 public hearing and regular business meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of July 22nd, 2024 special call meeting and the July 22nd public hearing and regular business.
All right, having a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, I will ask for the vote. All in favor, raise a hand. It's unanimous, 5, none opposed. I forget, I got to leave my microphone on. Tonight we have no invited guests and no community and department reports. We will move on to approval of the agenda, and we have one item to add. Do you want me to read it, or you're good? All right. Just, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda, August 12th, 2024, with the following addition. Under new business, item D, consideration and action on a settlement between former city manager Russell Treadway and the city of Snellville.
Thank you very much. Having a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, raise hand. That's unanimous, 5-4. Oh, got to leave that on. We now move to the public hearing portion of our agenda, and we start off with item A, the first reading of change in conditions of 2024-01 application by John Gaskin of Patrick Malloy Communities as the applicant and Ballantree PMC Summit Chase LLC property owner, requesting a change in conditions for the 4-26-2021 approved rezoning from RS 30 to RO district case number RZ 21-02 and LUP 21-02, and the ordinance number 2021-10 approved for a 21 lot age-restricted, single-family detached residential subdivision, Soleil Summit Chase, on 5.58 acres, track located at the intersection of Rosebud Road and Temple Johnson Road, actual address being 3491 Rosebud Road, Snellville, tax parcel 5094327. This is a first reading, which will be, if we have a motion to waive, will be placed on our August 26, 2024 agenda for a second reading and public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion to waive the first reading of CIC 24-01 and place it on the agenda of the August 26th, 2024 meeting for a second reading and public hearing.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Having a motion and a second, all in favor, raise hand. Again, we are unanimous, 5-4, none against. That moves us to item B, the first reading of, again, a CIC 24-02, consideration and recommendation on application by John Gaskin, Patrick Malloy Communities, the applicant, and Ballantree PMC Summit Chase LLC, the property owner, requesting a change in conditions to, or CIC 24-02 from the 6-10-2019 approved rezoning for from RS 180 to RHOP 55 single family district case RZ 19-02 and ordinance number 2019-09, which was approved for a 257 lot age restricted single family detached residential subdivision Soleil Summit Chase on the 75.29 acre tract located at the intersection of Rosebud Road, Temple Johnson, and Brushy Fork Road, Snellville, tax parcels 5099-231 and 5099-232 and 5094-326. So I'll ask for a motion to waive the first reading and place it on our August 26, 2024 agenda for a second reading and public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion to waive the first reading on CIC 24-02, change in conditions, and to place this on the August 26th agenda for a second reading and public hearing.
And just for those of y'all playing along at home or who are here in the audience, these are two zoning cases that'll be heard later in 2 weeks. And all the information pertaining to them is available on the city website at snellville.org if you would like to go on and double check what's going on. We also have a couple of other cases that will be being heard that night, so if you come, bring a snack. That takes us through our public hearing. We have nothing on our account. Oh. Y'all want to vote on that? Okay. We got a motion, not a second. Okay. Pardon me. May I have a second? Okay. Having a motion and a second, now I guess we should vote on it. All in favor, raise hand. Okay. Well, that's why I don't have this job. All right, that passes 5-0. We move on to the consent agenda, which has nothing upon it tonight, and we have nothing on our old business agenda. So, move that sheet of paper out of the way. We move on to new business. And item A under new business is the second reading of ordinance 2024-08, consideration and action on an ordinance to amend portions of Chapter 62 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Snellville to amend inconsistencies and allow changes in fees by resolution and to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This is a update to our Code of Ordinances that covers how we deal with some issues dealing with stormwater, and it hadn't been updated in a number of years, so we are just asking to have this approved. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2024-08 as read by Mayor Pro Tem.
And having a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, I'll ask, does anybody have any comments they'd like to make on this? Okay. Having a motion and a second, ask for a vote. All in favor, raise hand. That's 5 in agreement and none opposed. Thank you very much. That brings us on to item B, consideration and action on resolution 2024-14, adoption of updated stormwater utility fee structure. And this segues with the other item. When I was first on council back in 2008, it became very clear that our stormwater infrastructure, which is those nice little pipes that take the water off your street and put it elsewhere, were in dire need of a lot of work. And we were looking at pipes that were in danger of failing, and in our general fund, we were not able to set aside the funding in order to keep up with that. So we had come together and agreed to start a stormwater utility, which means that the money that comes in from the stormwater fees, it's an enterprise fund. Those funds have to be used for stormwater projects. When we did that, how many years ago was 2008? It is a long time ago. We anticipated being able to, after 10 years, we would take care of all the problems with the pipes that were under the streets, and we would be able to move on to wonderful, fabulous things like combined detention ponds called regional detention, stormwater detention, and we'd be able to maintain that infrastructure and make everybody's neighborhood, all the businesses, just so much more appealing without having to have detention ponds scattered hither and yon. Well, life happens, and it turns out there were a lot more pipes that needed a lot more work. Many of the pipes that had been installed were corrugated steel or galvanized steel pipe, and as we are going through, the galvanized steel pipe has a lifespan of somewhere between 20 and 30 years, and as we are going through and doing the repairs, we are replacing everything with concrete pipe, which has a lifespan of 50 to 100 years, or if you live in the city of Atlanta, it may be 200 years. And in order to keep up with the times, that stormwater fee should be adjusted periodically. Well, it was updated in 2018, but y'all may have noticed we had this little thing called a pandemic, and the costs of infrastructure improvements have easily doubled. And so we are going to be adjusting our base stormwater rate to $125 per ERU, which for those of y'all want to know, that's a 3,800 square foot impervious surface. Now, our planning department goes through and figures out using GIS system exactly what your impervious surface is in your yard. So your fee will actually be based on a percentage of that ERU, or in the case of like a shopping center, they have multiple ERUs. So this puts the expense exactly where it should be. The greater your creation of stormwater runoff, the more you pay. But without this, we were taking about $500,000 a year out of our general fund and having to transfer it in to keep up with just the repairs that were critical. So hopefully this will put us in a safe place to go forward and actually be able to not have to worry about our citizens having sinkholes in their streets or in their neighborhoods. So all that lengthy explanation, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2024-14?
Could I ask a question first?
Oh, you don't know what you're opening up. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could we have our city manager explain exactly what amount on the average this is going to mean for our homeowners of an increase?
So the current rate right now is $57.33 annually, and you'll find that on your tax bill. This is an annual increase of $67.67. Does that answer your question, Councilmember Linsky?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
So just per month increase of $5.64 for your average.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Motion to approve Resolution 2024-14, adoption of the updated stormwater utility fee structure.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, raise hand. That's 5 in approval and none opposed. We now move along to item C under new business, consideration and action on surplus of city police vehicles. And we have a couple of units under there, and these are, it's actually one former police unit, Police Unit 125, which is a 2008 Crown Victoria. Do I need to read the VIN numbers? Good. And then the second unit is Police Unit 243, which is a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta that someone generously donated by committing crimes, and it was forfeit. So these vehicles have high mileage and multiple mechanical issues, maybe, and exceed the value of the vehicle, so the city will dispose of these by selling them on GovDeals, govdeals.com. Is that the right? Yeah.
Yes, GovDeals.
Okay. And so if you're interested in these, go on govdeals.com and see if you can't get yourself a sweet deal on a either 2008 Ford Crown Victoria or a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the surplus of the two city police vehicles.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all in approval, raise your hand. Again, we have 5 in approval and none opposed. That brings us to item D, which has been added to our agenda. Consideration and action on settlement agreement with Russell Treadway. Am I missing words on that? Between the city of Snellville and former city manager Russell Treadway. And would you like to give a little update on what this is?
I'll be happy to.
Thank you very much, City Attorney Chuck Ross.
So back between, I believe, 2008 and 2012, several city managers ago, we had a city manager, Mr. Treadway, who had negotiated a contract between a previous city attorney and previous council that provided that upon his employment, he would be 100% vested with the city's retirement plan. He left employment in 2012, and fast forward 10 years from then to March of 22, Mr. Treadway requested to get his full retirement distribution. At that time, the company administering it, called One America, made a distribution, but being unaware of his employment contract, they only paid him a 50% distribution. So he contacted our past city manager and was able to discuss the situation, which he is under contract, was absolutely entitled to the full retirement. That is what the contract provided. However, since he was no longer an employee, the only legal and proper way to do this is in the form of a settlement agreement. So there is not a pending lawsuit or anything like that. It's a very friendly situation where we're simply paying the man what he was contracted to be paid. Nonetheless, it is done as a gross payment distribution. He will be responsible for paying all of his taxes. So the total gross distribution is $67,347.47. I'm happy to answer any questions if council has any questions.
Are there any questions of City Attorney Chuck Ross? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion and just the motion.
Motion to approve the settlement between former city manager Russell Treadway and the city of Snellville in the amount of $67,347.47, and to authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. That closes out our actual action items on our, I guess I should turn that on. That closes out our action items on our agenda for the evening, which brings us to council reports, and we will start with Council Member Norman Carter.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I had the pleasure of attending the Commerce Club meeting last Tuesday, where we honored Laura Drake, who's the CEO of Southeast Gwinnett Co-op Ministry. Many of you notice our little bin outside for Give Hunger the Boot. And it was interesting to find out that that organization has grown to the point where they are donating over 1 million pounds of food per year. And I just think that that's a great thing. And so far this year, we have contributed about 2,500 pounds of food and approximately $700. So I thank all of you who have helped us in that project, and please feel free to drop off your food, and we have a little bank on the reception desk to drop in your cash contributions, because it's all appreciated. 2 weeks ago, I attended a town hall meeting called by Gwinnett County District 3 Commissioner Jasper Watkins. And the purpose of that meeting was to discuss the dangers of fentanyl in our community. And it was a learning experience for me to find out that Gwinnett County, of which we are a part, leads the state in the number of deaths from fentanyl. I think this year it's 178, or last year it was 178. That's a whole lot of people for this county. And it reminded me of back when I was young, many years ago, when you would go to a party that young people have, not that I indulge, but they would pass from people. Somebody would always have a little bottle they would pass around, and people would take a swig out of it, which I hated. Ugh, so nasty. But we've grown and we've progressed today. And back in those days, there was peer pressure for you to take that little swig out of the bottle, otherwise you'd be called a coward or a chicken or whatever. Well, now, at these parties, these young people, when I say young, I'm talking about people 60 and younger, they're passing around pills. And those pills are more than likely laced with fentanyl. And it takes that much fentanyl to kill you. That much. And that's why we're losing so many people. And you would think that there's an education process going on between parents and grandparents, but obviously that's not happening, because we're losing too many of our young people through fentanyl. So my hope is to have a spokesperson here, not next meeting, because we're going to be too busy, but in the near future to discuss this issue with you at length. So that ends my report. I thank you all for coming. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carter. And next, we will hear from Councilmember Carrie Hetherington.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I don't have much to say, except I do want to just give a shout out to Chief Perry and his staff. When I had to call the other day, it was 13 minutes from the time I made the call to the resolution when the young man was leaving our neighborhood. And I believe that that young man and his buddy made the very poor decision to go to another council member's neighborhood, where I believe SPD was called again on the same people. So thank you, Chief Perry, and to your staff for being so thorough and so quick to show up when you're called. We appreciate it. Thanks again for coming out tonight. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Sorry, I'm new at this. Next, thank you very much, Ms. Hetherington. Next, we will hear from Councilmember Christy Linsky.
I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers that they have sent my way. As I've moved through my first of 2 surgeries on my spine, so it's going to be a long process, but hanging in there and accepting my new challenges really well. I also wanted to commend Councilman Carter in mentioning the commission meeting with Jasper Watkins concerning fentanyl among our young people. The student, a former student of mine, his mother has been a tremendous advocate to build awareness, and I'm sure that she was at that meeting, and she lost an amazing son. Jasmine Screws was his name, to fentanyl a couple of months ago. Just the picture that was up in the newspapers and online on Jasmine just only began to capture his joy in his short life that he brought us. And those are unfortunately the kinds of things that we're seeing as a society and what all too many parents have to face. So please keep them in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Linsky. And next, we will hear from Councilmember Gretchen Scholes.
Okay, thank you. I haven't had the chance to attend too many activities recently. I had a knee replacement a month ago, and most of what I've been attending has been physical therapy. So anyway, some of the women members of this council are struggling a little bit. Yeah, Council Member Carrie Hetherington mentioned about the young man visiting in her neighborhood, and our neighborhood was the next one he came to. He was with a business wanting to do mosquito control. And he came.
He was doing spiders in my neighborhood, I believe,
Spiders?
because there were cobwebs on our windows. I think his story changes based on what your house.
Okay, well, whatever. We thought it was mosquitoes. We told him when he came to our house the first time that he had to have a City of Snellville permit to solicit. Well, he argued. He was actually fairly aggressive, and so Kurt called the police department and reported it. Well, he showed up again. No, it was a different person, but same company showed up again today, and again he was told the same thing, that he needed a permit. And so I just want to encourage y'all, don't let these solicitors tell you they can go door to door, because they can't unless they have a permit, and that is issued by the City of Snellville, and they will have a hang tag that they wear that it will clearly show that they have a permit. And one of the advantages to having that permit is that our police department does do a background check on anybody that applies for a permit. And I know there was one person that solicited a while ago in our neighborhood. This isn't the one within the last couple days, but he was turned in, and we found out that he had an active warrant for his arrest. So you just never know the background of some of these folks that are coming to your door if they don't have the appropriate permits. So don't ever be afraid to send them on their way and call the police department at their non-emergency number. And I know that a police officer came to our neighborhood today when they got another call, and they were, I believe, actively searching for the person. So thank y'all for coming tonight. We're glad you could be here.
Thank you very much, Gretchen. Appreciate that. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the Mayor Pro Tem's comments. I want to thank my fellow council members for their work and their diligence. We have a lot on our plate coming up, and they've all agreed to attend a couple of extra meetings to make sure that, in small groups, to make sure that we're able to do the best job possible for y'all. One point I want to make is the solicitor's badge needs to be worn where you can see it, not, oh, it's in my car, or oh, it's in my bag. The other thing is, surprise, it doesn't apply to political folks. So when someone comes by from a campaign and knocks on your door here in a couple of weeks, you're welcome to ask them to leave, but they have an exemption, and also religious organizations, due to this thing called the Supreme Court. That wasn't us. We didn't write it that way. It was the way we had to have it written. I believe this Thursday we have an event, the first of a ongoing series called the Third Thursday series. It'll be up at the Grove, and I believe we're having at least a food truck, some entertainment. Let's see, I'm getting my notes from head nods. And elephants, no. But it should be a good time, and the time is 6 to 8, 9, well, somewhere. Yeah, you'll be tired, you'll want to go home. And we're also going to start, our partners and city staff are putting together a movie series, which will be on the 4th Friday of the month. And that'll probably start once it gets dark. It'll also be on the Grove. And I've got it on good authority that in October, the movie's going to be Hocus Pocus, which will make my daughters very, very happy, even though they're now in their 20s. So we've got some great events coming up. We really look forward to seeing you all there, whether you're here with us in person or watching at home. Last Thursday, the mayor and I had the pleasure to attend a Gwinnett Chamber Leadership Reception over at the Gwinnett Chamber, surprisingly enough, and we were able to interact with a bunch of business leaders and also your state legislators, the insurance commission, state insurance commissioner, John King was there, everybody's favorite, Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State, was there. We were able to make some really good connections. Since AT&T was one of the sponsors, I was able to track down the guy who spoke and twist his arm until he promised he would take care of some issues that we have. And in return, he asked us to let him know what we have project-wise going forward so they can make sure that the infrastructure is in place. So we're working with staff to make sure that that information gets passed along in a timely manner, so we will all have the best infrastructure possible. The other thing, and I meant to mention this to council in the the work session, they are going through and looking at the infrastructure that we have in our neighborhoods so they can upgrade more of our neighborhoods to fiber optic service, because some of us, especially those in the back of the room, are lucky if they get DSL. So hopefully we will be able to get some nice upgrades. They're really looking forward to working with us. I thank you all for being here tonight and putting up with me. We will now enter the public comment portion of our meeting. Do I have to read this? No. Okay. So the way we run this is you get 5 minutes to speak on one topic. We have a microphone on the stand. If you pick it up and hold it, that way we'll be able to hear you. And not only will we be able to hear you, but the recording that goes to people who might be watching online or at home will be able to hear. So I'll start off with the list of people who signed up, but if you'd like to come forward and speak, you don't have to have signed up. And I have my new friend, Kenneth Fawkes. He signed up, and you don't even have to give us your name and address. Just come on up and...
Because he already has.
Because you already have. And again, you have 5 minutes, and try to keep it to one topic, and welcome.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Kenneth Fawkes Sr., as you've just been told, and I've lived in the community for 2 3/4 years. I'm here today to address some issues, and I hope they're taken in a constructive, not in a destructive manner, okay? I'm here today to address the perceived inconsistencies with respect to code enforcement. The Quality of Life Unit is assigned to the Department of Planning and Development. This unit focuses on compliance with all city codes and ordinances that may affect the city's quality of life, its aesthetics, and the welfare of its citizens. They address a wide range of issues that affect the environment, health, safety, property values, and general well-being of the city of Snellville. Preservation and improvement are recognized by government leaders as necessary to prevent the deterioration of our surroundings and enhance the quality of life. It appears they allow certain developers and prominent families privileges not extended to ordinary citizens, i.e., to be excluded from following established code and or selective enforcement. In addition, the department also appears to ignore reasonable requests from citizens when it conflicts with the desires of those it extends special privileges. A possible solution is equal enforcement of the code, including responses to inquiries. In conclusion, inconsistent code enforcement is a serious issue that negatively impacts our community. I urge this town council to consider more transparency in enforcement of established code. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and make public comment? You have 5 minutes. You don't have to use all of it, Rose. And please give us your name and address for the record.
Rose Purdy, 2270 Burlington Lane, Snellville, Georgia. I had that solicitor come to my home today, and he was wearing a permit on his shirt. And I sent him away from my house because I solicit. I don't want them soliciting me. So, another thing, I would like to have a map or an explanation of the borders of the city of Snellville. I know where all the borders are except the one on Mountain View. And I have had discussions with neighbors across the street, over on the other side, and I can't solve them because I don't have a map. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, if there's anybody who'd like to come forward and make public comment, you have 5 minutes to speak on one topic and give us your name and address, because we don't know who you are, Barry Wiggs.
I have to get the thing right. No, I just got to get it. Barry Wiggs, 2210 Stockton Walk Lane, Snellville, Georgia, 30078. My comments tonight is twofold. One, I have to give Chuck kudos for his work with Snellville Pavilion and Texas Roadhouse. We've come a long way in 20 years since the problem started. However, we still continue to have just ongoing trash, fence tore down at the retention pond in the back. And I'm not sure if that's homeless or coyotes, because we do have a coyote problem there. But it just seems like and I wasn't going to speak until you did about code enforcement. Code enforcement does a great job. I think they're just overwhelmed. The thing with the trash is it's just ongoing. I mean, we're on the hamster wheel and have been for 20 years. I call complain because there's bags of trash scattered everywhere. Johnny goes out, writes them a ticket, warns them, whatever, and it's just a continuous cycle. I Love Pho used to be I Love Pho. It's the Big Apple Buffet now. Those people, their parking lot has not been cleaned up in over a year. I mean, it just hasn't. And with Texas Roadhouse, we do have most of the employees parking further away from the fence. The problem we still have there is their vendors coming in at night. And we also have a problem of citizens of Georgia that come in and park at my fence at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, sit there for 30 minutes or an hour, have no idea what's going on, but then they crank up and leave. Sometimes it's a quiet muffler, sometimes it's not. So with the gentleman talking about that, we've got to do something. The city, you didn't create the problem, but you've got it in your laps now. There's zoning that addresses all of this at those 2 locations. It was part of the approval process. They are not doing anything close to what the zoning requirements as stated in the zoning. The other thing is the vacant lots that DOT owns on 78 and 124 in the retention pond. It's 5 and 6 foot high in there. So the other thing is, and I'm not going to bother Johnny with this, but Prime Storage, between Pet Paradise and Prime Storage, somebody needs to ride through there and let Johnny know. That's it. So it's not that bad, but I got to have something done over there. I've caught 5 rats in my backyard. Not counting about the squirrels and the possums and the raccoons and all of that want to visit my garden. So we've got to get something under control over there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wiggs. Just so everybody knows, just this last week, we hired our 3rd code enforcement officer. It was in our budget. Hopefully that will help alleviate some of the workload and some of the issues. And once again, if there's anybody who would like to come forward and speak on a single topic for up to 5 minutes, this is your chance. Seeing nobody, I'm going to say going once, twice, sold. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Please let me have a second. A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. That's 5 in favor and none opposed. Thank you all for coming. And once again, if anyone needs to ever reach or get information to us, our email address to get every single one of us is mayorcouncil@snellville.org. There is no punctuation or spaces in that. Thank you very much. Be safe going home.